Toronto.
While officials are still trying to sort out last night's rock concert riot, hundreds of police and private security men were required to restrain thousands of enraged fans who went into a frenzy at the announcement that Alice Cooper was ill and would not perform. We'll have more on the destruction, the injuries, and the arrest last night. But first, CFTO's Greg Stott looks at just what happened to Cooper in Toronto, his illness, treatment, and his departure.
Alice Cooper's manager, Damien Bragdon, says that last night the rock performer was on a drug, a prescription drug called Drixerol, issued by a Toronto doctor and bought at a Bay Street pharmacy. Drixerol is a decongestant and an antihistamine designed to fight colds and allergies. It's a powerful drug capable of producing drowsiness, tension, anxiety, and sweating. Bragdon described Cooper's condition prior to the show this way.
And he was sick in New York. And because it was the last date, and because we haven't missed a date, I said, get him here. When I went up and talked to Alice and saw him with a high fever and a temperature, and after I consulted with a doctor, and he prescribed medication, and he recommended the man not go on, I canceled the show. Unfortunately, that took a lot of time.
Whatever Cooper's condition last night, he was able to leave Toronto International Airport today on a U.S.-bound plane. When he arrived yesterday, he had to be helped out of a limousine. That fanned rumors that hard rock's aging bad boy was on booze. He spent 1977 and 78 beating the bout with alcoholism. Recently, Cooper dropped 15 pounds, reducing him to 120. He mused that he was learning a few rules for survival on the road, and he remarked, somewhat tongue-in-cheek, "I'm into junk food and I never get sick. Give me a cold slab of pizza and a warm Coke, and I'm fine." Greg Stott, CFTO News.
Last night's riot was the third rock-related disturbance in Toronto in the past 3 months. In May and June, there were incidents at Ontario Place. Last night's rampage left a dozen fans and 5 police officers injured. CFTO's John Borley reports.
It looked like a policeman's convention outside the Grandstand last night as 268 Metro police officers converged on the scene. Inside, it was anything but a convention. It was a riot. 14,000 fans were kept waiting for an hour before they heard that Alice Cooper wouldn't be performing. Several thousand surged toward the stage area, hurling chairs and bottles at the stage, and then at police who tried to stop them. As police waded into the crowd with billy clubs, some fans moved on to take their frustrations out on refreshment stands and other property within the stadium. One eyewitness describes the chaos.
The police officers moved out of the way as chairs started hitting those amplifiers. Then they got a whole bunch of policemen on the stage and made a line, came down, crossed over this fence, and started coming in a line across here, and they were having chairs thrown at them and bottles and everything. It's just wild.
Before the half-hour rampage was over, police had laid some 20 criminal charges against fans, ranging from assaulting police to mischief to causing a disturbance. Ambulances shuttled a number of injured fans to hospital after the riot. The injured, many of them wearing Alice Cooper-style makeup, were treated for everything from minor cuts to broken limbs. 5 police officers and 1 stadium security officer also collected minor injuries for their efforts. John Borley, CFTO News.
C.N.E. officials and Metro Police held a news conference to explain last night's events. More details from CFTO's Ken Shaw live at the C.N.E.
First to speak was General Manager Bill Malatrat. I asked him if this is the last time that the C.N.E. will get involved with a rock concert.
We will be assessing all of our concerts for next year, as I alluded to in my announcement. Particularly, we'll be examining very carefully the future of rock concerts here. And whether they are not or are viable will remain to be decided upon after that review and a lot of examination by our various experts in our committees.
When The Who was here last month, body searches for drugs and alcohol were conducted. Last night's crowd was not searched. Staff Superintendent Jack Reed says body searches have never been conducted for grandstand shows because the C.N.E. gates act as a buffer.
In previous years, we put plainclothesmen in front of the grandstand checking people in the vicinity. We did the same thing last night. As a result of their checks, they made around 16 arrests with regard to liquor and drug offenses at the beginning of the concert and before the concert. So what we did last night is what we did last year. Our previous experience had been that because the concert was conducted during the operation of the C.N.E., we didn't have the same problems with lineups and camping out and people coming directly in with coolers and bottles and so on.
Lawyers are still assessing possible lawsuits against Alice Cooper. We do know that he will not be paid for last night. And as a matter of fact, he did offer to perform today, but C.N.E. officials said...